shoes, all those kinds of stuff. People were going to come in, emergencies were going to come. So Pam Schmidt had to run up to Fresno because her son was in the hospital. So she called us and please tell her she's against. I told her, yeah, I'll tell her right now. This is how many people I represent can say no. All the downtown businesses there.
I'm going to call the August 27th meeting of the Escondido Planning Commission to order. If you'll stand with me and salute the flag. Okay, can we have roll call?
Commissioner Weiler,
Here.
Commissioner Cohen,
Here.
Commissioner Romo,
Here.
Commissioner Span,
Here.
Commissioner McNair,
Here.
Commissioner Garcia, and Commissioner Watson,
Here.
present.
Are there any comments about the minutes, or do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of April 13th.
Second.
Do you want to do a hand vote?
Watson and Weiler, do I have yeses for Watson and Weiler? Thank you. Unanimous?
I'll ask about written communications. I'm looking at a stack.
Yes. There are 9 articles of correspondences that have been provided to the commission. It is advised that each individual commission member afford themselves enough time to review the information. The first 3 pieces of information are submitted from the same individual, Patricia Borges. One is a public objection piece, and the other is a editorial about land use growth assumptions. The 4th article is from the project proponent, the applicant, in response to correspondence that was furnished as part of the agenda packet. The 5th piece is a letter statement of opposition from Pamela Stahl. The next is opposition from Hope. Another of objection from Kel Ray, another from Nancy Reeder, and the last piece is also from Patricia Borchman regarding this ordinance.
Thank you. Any future neighborhood meetings?
None to report. The mayor is anticipated to hold a town hall meeting on October 18th. That's a tentative date, and more information will come subsequent to that, and indeed is held.
Now, when you say town halls, that with regards to this project, or just a...
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, oral communications. Does anybody in the audience want to speak about something that's not on tonight's agenda? Okay, I see none, so we'll move on. Disclosures. Does anybody up here have anything they need to disclose about what we're going to be talking about? I don't feel it's significant, but this was presented to us at the Historic Preservation Commission, so I've heard some of it, but that is really irrelevant. Okay, for G1, Master and Precise Development Plan and Development Agreement for a 131-unit mixed-use development within the Downtown Specific Plan, PHG 190014.
Good evening, Chairman Span, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Bill Martin. I'm the Community Development Director. This project before you this evening is a master and precise development plan for a 6-story mixed-use structure in the historic district of the Downtown Specific Plan. The proposal consists of 131 apartment units, approximately 4,289 square feet of commercial space. It includes underground parking, as well as a 35% density bonus per state density bonus law, and an allocation of an additional 24 units from the city's downtown density transfer program through a development agreement, as well as a class 32 or an infill CEQA exemption. So this just shows you the site on the corner of West Valley Parkway and Maple Street. What's interesting here is you can see that it's made up of many original subdivision lots from when the time the city was first subdivided. This area was divided up into 25-foot wide lots for sale. Some of the history on this existing parking lot, there have been buildings on the site in the past, so there has been commercial development at least until the 80s when the parking lot that's out there now was constructed. Here's another look at the general plan designations for the site. You can see the site as well as all of the surrounding area is in a general plan designation we call specific planning area number 9. So that is the downtown specific planning area. It is in the historic district of that plan, and there are specific development standards within the downtown specific plan that guide development proposals within each of these districts. It's a mixed-use development with residential on the upper floors and commercial on the western part of the ground floor, which is encouraged for those areas east of Maple Street in the downtown specific plan. So just showing you this as an overall view of the downtown specific plan, this particular graphic shows you the density allowances in the colors within the different districts of the plan. So the bright yellowish color allows up to 45 dwelling units per acre down here in the southeastern part of the specific plan. The light green area, which also includes the project site, allows up to 75 dwelling units per acre. And then the light blue areas, kind of on the outside of that, including the former Palomar Hospital site, allow up to 100 dwelling units per acre. The crosshatched areas do not allow residential development. This graphic also shows you some of the downtown projects that are either under construction or being considered in our department right now. So just going through them briefly from left to right. This is the Gateway Grand project, which is the old police department site that's under construction. You've probably seen that out there across the street from the transit center. Over here further east on the corner of Quince and Valley Parkway is the Quince Street Senior Housing Project, which recently came before the Planning Commission. That one's right at about 100 units per acre. The West Grand Avenue project, which you'll be seeing shortly or soon, on the corner of Quince and Grand. The Mercado project, which is a very small 5-unit mixed-use development. The Aspire project, which is the one we're considering tonight, directly across the street from where we're sitting here in the council chambers. To the north of that, Latitude 2, which is now leasing. I believe construction has been completed on that. And then further to the east, the Ivy project, which came before the commission several months ago and was recently approved by the city council as well. And then the big one that we're currently working on the Palomar Heights project, which is the redevelopment of the Palomar Hospital site. Just give you a little overview of what's happening in the downtown area. So the downtown specific plan includes a number of goals, including to ensure economic viability, create a local and regional destination, fostering a vibrant commercial residential atmosphere offering mixed uses, provide for street level and human design element, offering higher residential densities that support downtown businesses, expand pedestrian connections, provide opportunities to live, work, and play within the downtown area, and create strong commercial uses at street corners. So getting into the project itself, here you can see an aerial of the project site in its current condition as a municipal parking lot. The site is fairly over 1 acre in size. It contains 118 public parking spaces. The project would remove all of the improvements that are currently on the site, including the trees, all of the pavement, and the landscaping. Maple Street Plaza would be somewhat reconstructed after the project is constructed, and I only say that because it's intended to be used in part as a staging area, and so if there's damaged areas, those would be reconstructed. But there's also some street furniture here close to the project site that would be relocated to another area of the plaza. There's a public fountain that no longer is working, and so a new fountain is proposed to be built as part of the project, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. And then commercial development proposed as part of the project would utilize this, I guess, eastern part of Maple Street Plaza for restaurant seating. So going through some of the general plan and the zoning aspects of the site, what's being proposed versus what the current downtown specific plan would permit. So you can see that on the left-hand side, ground floor commercial is permitted. There are 2 commercial suites being proposed, just over 4,000 square feet on the ground floor. Multifamily residential up to 75 dwelling units per acre are permitted. That would essentially allow 79 units under the current density designation, and there are 131 units actually proposed within the project, and I'll discuss how they got to that number a little bit later in the presentation. 4 stories are permitted in the downtown specific plan, and 6 stories are proposed as part of the project, so we'll discuss that as well. And similarly, with respect to the height of the building, 60 feet permitted by the downtown specific plan, and 67 feet with a tower element up to 75 feet is proposed. So here's a look at the proposed master development plan. Again, 131 units. The makeup of those units include 30 studios, which range in size from 370 feet to 679 square feet. These square footages are approximate, just keep that in mind. 46 one-bedroom units, ranging in size from 736 square feet to 800 square feet, and 55 two-bedroom units, ranging in size from 978 square feet to 1,293. The project also includes 9 units for very low-income households that will be offered as part of the density bonus available through the state and the city's zoning code. There are private balconies for each unit, and also in-unit laundry within each unit as well. With respect to the commercial space, it'll be located on the western side of the project down here adjacent to Maple Street Plaza. There are 2 suites located on the first floor. There's also a 2-story garage with 1 level being essentially at ground level and then 1 subterranean level. There are 153 residential parking spaces proposed, most of those being down in the subterranean level of the garage. They do include 19 tandem spaces. The project would provide 76 public and guest spaces. So 76 public spaces would be provided back into the project site at the ground floor level. And those spaces could also be utilized by guests of the project. There would be 43 bike storage spaces, as well as a repair room and a trash enclosure within the interior of the building. Here you have a rendering of the building as it would look post-construction on the site itself. So some more of the project details associated with the proposal. It would include 2 separate driveways from West Valley Parkway, one providing access directly into the basement level, and then the other providing access only to the ground level of the garage. Maple Street Plaza would provide outdoor seating for the 2 commercial tenants. You can see that kind of reflected here where the umbrellas are. And then in the interior of the project, kind of on the back side of this rendering, there's an outdoor deck at the podium level. It features a pool spa, barbecues, lounge areas. There's also a 3,000 square foot common recreation room adjacent to that outdoor deck. There's another 474 square foot common area on the ground floor on the northern side of the building adjacent to West Valley Parkway. That's also where you find the leasing office, the lobby for the resident entry, and the mail room as well. So there's about 11,500 square feet of private balcony space provided. Again, there's a balcony for each unit. And so all of that together equals about 27,688 square feet of open space, or 212 square feet of open space per residential unit. Here's another rendering to give you an idea of the architecture of the structure. It also gives you a feeling for the height, the mass, and scale of the building itself. Obviously, this is looking from Maple Street Plaza at the 2 commercial units on the ground floor, and then you can see 5 stories of residential units directly above. Another rendering at ground level, looking from City Hall parking lot, essentially, looking in a southeastern direction at Maple Street Plaza. So the architectural features that are being included into the project includes a variety of parapet heights. The wall planes are not uniform, which is something we definitely look for in a project of this nature. So there is some variation in those wall planes. There's accents at the pedestrian entry down on the ground level, some stucco foam surrounds the windows, earth tone colors. You'll see stucco and masonry block, metal siding, and then also metal railings for the balconies. So this floor plan shows you the parking garage, starting with the basement level on the left-hand side. So this is parking for residents. There would be no public parking or guest parking down at this level. And then when you look over at the right-hand graphic, that shows you where the public parking would be provided at the ground floor level for use by the public as well as guests of residents in the building. And then you can't quite see, but you can see some of the common area functions and the leasing office as well in this ground floor plan. And then there's one commercial unit here, and then the other commercial unit here adjacent to the Maple Street Plaza. This is the second floor plan, and so this is the podium area where the deck is that provides recreation for the residents, and then this is the larger community room for the residents. And so this is above street level by 1 floor, so this is essentially the second floor of the building. The building itself is kind of a C shape wrapping around this outdoor common area for the residents. And then the floors above that, floors 3 through 6, are all essentially identical. And you can see there's residential units on each side of an interior hallway that provides access to the units. These are some sections through the building. This one here is an east to west section that shows you the podium level where the recreation area I was just speaking of would be located. This is the ground floor parking garage, and then this is the subterranean or underground parking garage. And then you can see how the units are arrayed on either side of the open space area. And then these are other sections through the building looking in different directions. Landscaping will also be provided. It is an urban project, so you're not going to see a whole lot of landscaping on the exterior of the building. There will be some incorporated adjacent to Maple Street Plaza. You'll see new street trees along West Valley Parkway. Most of the landscaping is going to occur on that podium deck where you have that open space and recreation area for the residents. So the project is proposing a density bonus. The city's housing element includes goals for providing affordable housing, and the density bonus is certainly one of them. It is a state law. The RHNA, Regional Housing Needs Assessment goals, are to provide 40% of housing for lower income housing, and state density bonus law encourages affordable housing, allowing a 35% increase in project densities, provided 11% of the base density is set aside for very low income households. So in this case, they are requesting a 35% density increase from the base number of units, which is that 79 number, I believe. And then that would require 11% of the units to be set aside for very low income households. And that equals, so 9 units would be set aside for those households. So with density bonus, applicants can request certain incentives for the provision of affordable housing. And in this case, they're looking to reduce the resident parking standard from 196 spaces to 153 spaces, reduce the open space from 300 square feet per unit to that 212 square feet per unit I mentioned earlier, and then increase the permitted height of the building from 60 feet 4 stories to 67 feet 6 stories. And so this is how they are allowed to exceed the downtown specific plan standards through the state density bonus law. So they're also requesting a transfer of density through the density transfer program for the downtown area. Developers can exceed these densities on a case-by-case basis, subject to a planned development approval and a development agreement, both are which you're considering this evening. So the city transferred 48 allowable units from parking lot number 4, which is on the corner of 2nd and Calmia, into a density credit pool. You may recall that the Ivy development you saw several months ago came before you and requested 24 units from that density credit pool. Now this Aspire project is similarly requesting 24 additional density dwelling units from the density credit pool. And so that in effect would take all of the units allowable from parking lot 4 out of the density credit pool and use those for these 2 developments. The density credit pool we expect will be replenished as additional residential development occurs in the downtown area and doesn't develop to their full allowed density. The Palomar Heights project being a good example of that. So this is how we get to the proposed 131 dwelling units. The site slightly over 1 acre, so that provides the 79 units per the base density that's allowed by the downtown specific plan at 75 units per acre. The 35% density bonus for affordable housing would add 28 units. And then the units being requested from the city's downtown density transfer program would add another 24 units. And so that's how we get to the total number of units being proposed, the 131 number. Talk a little bit about the parking. And so I'm actually going to go from right to left here. So if you look at the right-hand column, you can see the amount of parking spaces required per the downtown specific plan for residential development. It's the standard multifamily rate that you'll see in the rest of the city. And so for a studio, it'd be 1 per unit, 1 bedroom, 1.5 per unit. 2 bedrooms would be 1 3/4 of spaces per unit. And so you can see that gets you total number of spaces of 196. And then if you include guest spaces at 1 per 4 units, that would add an additional 33 spaces. And so the total number of spaces per the downtown specific plan would be 229. And so that's that right-hand column you're looking at. The column in the middle is one I showed to you last time when we came before you with the Ivy project. And so this is parking that per state law is allowed for density bonus projects, which essentially is 1/2 of a space per bedroom. And so you can see if you go through that same calculation, utilizing 1/2 space per bedroom, per state law, they could provide 93 parking spaces for this proposed development. And then the left-hand column is the what's being proposed here. And those numbers, as far as what's being proposed, the ratios for a studio, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom, we saw those in the CEQA exemption document, and so that's how they get to the 153 spaces. And then with the public and guest spaces at 76, again, there's a total of 229 proposed, but you can't really equate that with the column on the right because 76 of those spaces essentially are public but can be utilized by guests. And so I think what the takeaway here is to look at the total number of resident spaces, which is 153 being proposed, versus the 196 over on the far right-hand column. And that'll tell you the incentive that they're seeking on parking as part of their density bonus proposal. Again, keeping in mind that they could satisfy state law by providing 93 spaces. Talk a little bit about the development agreement. It's being proposed and is required in order to take or participate in the density transfer program. This is a voluntary agreement between the city and developer. And so in this case, the developer receives increased certainty for constructing the project, and they're also asking for additional incentives or considerations, including the 24 units I mentioned from the density transfer program. They're looking to freeze fees to the February 2017 level, and then they're also looking to utilize 16 feet of Maple Street Plaza for their 2 commercial tenants for their outdoor seating. The city also receives benefits from the development agreement. In this case, the city will receive back 76 of the public parking spaces that are now out on the property. And there's 118 out there now. I don't want to insinuate that we're receiving more than what's out there. So the city does receive 76 public spaces back. There will be a parking management notification system for available parking within the parking garage, the public spaces, as well as payment towards a future electronic signage showing real-time parking availability in the downtown area. And they'll also provide private maintenance of the public parking spaces, as well as the new fountain that's being proposed or will eventually be constructed in Maple Street Plaza. The fountain that's out there now is a, I guess we call it a contact fountain, and so people are allowed to have contact with the water. And so that brings in some health department requirements that have been a little bit of a challenge. And I believe the new fountain that's being proposed would be more like the fountain you see out here at City Hall, where it's not necessarily a public contact, it's really kind of more of a visual amenity. Although that could change. We'll try and work with the health department to see if we can bring back a public contact fountain, and if we can, we'll attempt that. If not, it would be more of a visual fountain. So in the staff report, we highlighted some of the public outreach that we've done with respect to the project, as well as some of the areas of controversy. And so there were several groups to which presentations were provided: the Chamber of Commerce, the DBA, Downtown Business Association, the Historic Preservation Commission, as well as the Old Escondido Neighborhood Group. I think there's two predominant issues that have come out of those meetings, and the first one being the public parking, the loss of public parking spaces that are out there now. So there's 118 public spaces out there. With 76 coming back in as part of the project, there is a loss of 42 public parking spaces on the site. So the applicant did hire the Walker Group to provide an update to the parking study that they had done for the city back in 2006. That update is included as part of your staff report, so you had an opportunity to go through that also. But that study does indicate that the 76 public parking spaces coming back into the project are sufficient to meet customer demand. There are City Hall and downtown employees that are using approximately half of those spaces in Lot 1 at an almost all-day level or all-day level. And so those employees should be directed to park in some of the lesser impacted lots in the area. And if that were to happen, then customer demand could be met with the 76 spaces that are coming back in as part of the project. In addition, the upcoming Grand Avenue Visioning Project will increase the number of available parking spaces on Grand Avenue. There's been several different numbers thrown out, 30, 40. I think that's still very much in flux because the design has not been completed. And so I don't want to insinuate that there's a specific number, but by providing diagonal parking on Grand Avenue, we should be able to pick up parking spaces out there as well. Another big issue that we hear pretty consistently is the height of the building, as well as the architecture, what it looks like. So the proposed building is 67 feet and 6 stories, where 60 feet and 4 stories are permitted. The architecture is really a more contemporary design. It's not reflective of what you see here at City Hall or historic Grand Avenue architecture. And so that's something we've heard from the community as well. So in response to that, the overall building height, it does exceed what the downtown specific plan contemplated by 7 feet, not counting the permitted tower element, because architectural features such as towers are allowed to exceed building heights throughout the city. The height is somewhat compatible with what you see here at the Arts Center, at the Lyric Theater, the tower there, as well as the AT&T building on Broadway and 2nd. So there are examples of building height within near proximity that approaches what's being contemplated here. With respect to architectural design, certainly that's a valid issue, but it's very subjective. There are no specific identified architectural themes that are mandated for this area. So again, that's something that certainly is within the purview of the Planning Commission to consider, is the architectural design. With respect to CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, the project qualifies for an exemption under an infill development project. There was a document prepared by Harrison Associates that satisfied those requirements. The project is consistent with general plan policies, substantially surrounded by urban uses, has no value for native habitat or rare species, would not result in significant effects related to traffic, noise, air quality, or water quality. and can be served by utilities and public services. So with that, the staff recommendation is to approve and recommend that the City Council approve the proposed Master and Precise Development Plan and Development Agreement and authorize issuance of the Notice of Exemption. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Does anybody here have any questions of staff?
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Very good presentation. One of the questions I have is, what's the household income for very low-income households for those affordable units?
I don't have that number handy. That would all be managed through our housing division. And so there would be affordability restrictions for 55 years, making sure that those units were available for whatever that affordability level is for very low income. And there's different ranges for low income, very low income, moderate income.
So we've got moderate income, low income, very low income, and then is there anything lower than that? Is there extremely low income?
I don't believe so. I think
Okay, so this is really at one of the lowest levels.
yes.
Okay. One of the other questions I have is parking lot number 4, which is being where the units are being transferred from. We, at this point, with the transfer of these units as a part of this project, are there no more units to be transferred? And if so, what happens with the next project that comes in that is going to be possibly requesting a transfer? So do we say, no, there's no more units left, so you got to sit and wait? Or is there a credit system?
That is correct. There are no more units available to be transferred from parking lot 4. If another project were to come in and request a density transfer prior to a private development project kind of refilling the credit pool by underutilizing their density allowance, conceivably, if the city was interested, we could look at another parking lot and utilize some of the density, another public parking lot, utilize some of the density from there. But again, that would be a decision at the council level.
Okay. And then with parking lot number 4, so it gets deed restricted, so no more units can be developed on that particular site. But could that lot, if it was so desired, be developed as commercial or some other type of use? Or is it, from here on out, that will be a parking?
Yeah, so because the city owns it, we're not actually looking to record a deed restriction on it. We have tracking that we're going to be employing to ensure that certainly no residential is built on that because the residential has been transferred elsewhere. We haven't really got into the commercial aspect of it because there's no interest at this point. I think that's something we'd have to consider if it's would be allowed.
But no more dwelling units would be able to build?
Absolutely no.
And
Not until, I mean, our intent is to essentially make that whole again once we receive other density from other private development projects that are not building to their full potential.
Oh, right, I understand, thank you. One last question. You had mentioned the parking study that was done in 2006. What was the change that you noticed between the 2006 and the most recent one as far as the availability of parking? Is it kind of pretty close to the same, or was there a drastic change?
Yeah, I really can't answer that. I didn't spend a lot of time reviewing that 2006 study.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Very thorough. Appreciate that. Just have a couple of questions. Do you know how high City Hall is?
I don't offhand. You own?
I don't know. I would hazard 35 feet.
Roughly. Okay, thank you. And if I understand correctly, the net loss of parking spaces is about 40?
42, correct.
42? Okay. And Does the city contract or have a contract, well, has this parking lot been sold? Or it's part of the whole package that we've received today, that if this gets approved, then it would be sold for development?
Yeah, so the city council has approved a purchase and sale agreement, so that if the project gets approved, there already is an agreement in place as far as the sale of the property.
So that's out of our hands. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. That was a great presentation. The question I have is in parking lot for, not a back question, but is there room, or would there ever be any room to build any type of parking structure in that small of an area? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. A parking structure could be constructed on parking lot 4, and we've actually seen a design for a 3 or 4-story structure that would fit on that site.
Is that something anyone's considering, or is that just something that was in a study?
No, not any longer. It's not something that's under consideration at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So my first question is really in regards to the parking and the total parking in the parking lot. The study had indicated there's 118 spaces. 59 of those are going to current employees of either the city or the customers around there, right? I think it was 50% of those were going approximately to that.
Yeah, I think it varied between 45 and 55%, so approximately 50% are currently being used by employees.
Is there a way to limit that to only customer parking?
Yeah, I think one of the ways that that could occur is through time restrictions, which we've had on that lot before.
So you could conceivably put a 2-hour time restriction, so you'd get the churn of customers.
Potentially,
that
yeah.
the city, the downtown businesses need, because they really need a churn, and they don't need somebody to park in there for 8 hours, basically sucking up spaces. And at this time, I forget, I mean, it's 73 spaces they're adding, or 76 spaces that are coming back?
76.
76. Okay. So technically, since they're only really getting 59 now, they're getting a bonus of 11 spaces or 12 spaces during the day.
Well, specifically for customer parking.
Correct.
The study showed that there would be enough parking spaces coming back as part of the proposal to meet customer
So if you
demand.
put a time limit of 2 hours on those, you could conceivably say, then, or a time restriction, you could conceivably say that you're going to have that churn happen. The correct.
And the city will retain the right to manage the spaces and implement timing restrictions if we
If
deem fit.
required, okay. And then I did notice as well that it didn't appear in the traffic studies that this was going to have significant impact in regards to traffic in any of the intersections. Now I think all of them are C or better, except for maybe one intersection.
No, some of them are lower than C, but the core of the downtown area does allow a lower level of service to be considered acceptable. So the traffic study did bear out that there would be no significant impacts.
Right. I think I saw that it was, I forget how many trips at the time, but it was pretty low in regards to that in the mornings every day. And the highest amount of traffic on that parking lot throughout the week is from 10 to 2?
Midday.
Right, midday. So it is 10 to 2. It's not really later in the days or any of that kind of stuff going on there as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Great presentation. Couple of questions on design. You'll know these by rote, it's a little easy, I'm sure, but did it meet the ADA parking requirements? I didn't see, I saw 4 spaces. Is it in compliance with that? 'Cause I don't think I saw any on the basement level. I may have overlooked it, but I didn't see a single one downstairs.
All right, which are you speaking of?
On A2.1, the basement level subterranean parking,
You're talking about EV spaces?
ADA.
Oh, ADA. Yeah, they're apparently on the ground level floor.
But out of all these, there's only 4
And
required.
there are resident spaces on the ground level. There's 9 resident spaces on the ground level, so I would presume that some of those are ADA as well.
Okay. Another question I had was about, I think, is it Chapin? In Ms. Chapin's report that she prepared, which was awfully thorough, there was mention made of a security booth, but I didn't see it anywhere on the drawings. Is there, did I misread it, or is there one? Do we know?
It's not being proposed as part of the project, so the negotiations with the applicant basically require them to provide conduit so that it can be installed at a later time if deemed necessary. But it's not necessarily part of the current proposal.
And then, do we know who the tenants are? Or is it not outside yet, the commercial tenants?
We do not know.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Now, on the guest and public parking, is there any plan to keep residents from using that also? I saw that they would probably park there during the night, and I think the parking spaces are under allocated because every apartment house I drive by the street is full of cars. So it seems to me that we're under allocated parking for this development.
Yeah, you're correct. There is a provision that would allow overnight parking by residents within those public spaces. And so the conditions of approval include the implementation of a parking management plan, which at a minimum would include a sticker program so that resident cars can be identified, and then some other features to ensure that residents are parking where they're supposed to be parking, the assignment of parking spaces, how many spaces per unit are assigned, making sure there's documentation in the lease agreements that residents understand how many parking spaces they're receiving. So there is a requirement for a parking management plan to be implemented before construction starts.
Any other questions? Bill, I just have one question. As far as, I know that it's over, it's a done deal as far as the sale agreement with the city. It was formed in 2017. At that time, did they take into account the fact that this density bonus would be coming back? Because it just seems to me like the developer's getting a pretty sweet deal here, and the city is very anxious to keep giving them things. And in the long run, we're taking it in the shorts and parking, bottom line.
Yeah, I'm really not qualified to comment on the purchase and sale agreement. I wasn't involved in those discussions at all, so I really don't know what the negotiations were on that.
I mean, just the fact that those two retail spaces are going to be able to utilize Maple Street, I mean, I see that as prime property. They're going to be paying top buck for that.
It was all part of the agreement.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions of staff, I'd like to have the applicant come up, Carrie Garza.
No. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Kiri Garza. This is Addison Garza, my son. We're the owners of Touchstone Communities. We've been here in front of you before. We have a brief presentation. Planning Director Martin did a really great job on the details. We won't try to belabor some of those details, but we'll give you some highlights. And then we'd be glad to answer questions and address some of those questions you just had. And we do have our traffic consultant and parking consultant here, and be glad to come up later and address anything. So you may know we've spent about 4 years on the project at this point. We had initial meetings with the city manager and planning directors at the time. We spent a lot of time gathering proper consultants and working with stakeholders in the community to develop the plans for this project. The result of about a year of studying what to put on the piece of property resulted in the goal of this vision statement to create a diverse and dynamic urban core that promotes a modern lifestyle of walkability, livability, and sense of place. And we think we achieved that with this design, and we'll go over that. The project features it's a infill mixed-use development. So it's not out in the suburbs, obviously. It's using land that's already been occupied by a parking lot, so the environmental impacts are minimized. It's known as a transit-oriented development. It's about 4 blocks from the Escondido Transit Center, which provides great opportunities for the residents, future residents of the community to access mass transit throughout the county. It helps alleviate traffic congestion. It also will feature some bike facilities for bike storage on the property so that residents can use the newly completed bike lanes that are around downtown. It's adjacent to bus stops. We expect a lot of people that live in this community to use those mass transit facilities. And this is what we call a highly amenitized project with a very elaborate pool deck with a swimming pool, spa, barbecues, fire pits, fitness center, club room. We have parcel storage room, and we have bike storage facilities, as I mentioned before. And we also have this public parking we're providing. It's very rare that we buy a project from any seller and they ask us to actually continue to use part of the project. This is a unique opportunity and a benefit for us to be able to work with the city to supply back 76 public parking spaces.
So these are some of the project facts. I think Bill did a great job covering. It's a mixed-use project. He talked about the unit mix. There's buying very low income units in there. One of the questions that came up was the household income of very low, and I think it's currently about $54,000 a year. So, you aren't impoverished people, your teachers and your workers downtown, and that's a modest income. There is actually an extremely low income that's $32,000 a year, just because that question came up. The height, I think Bill covered the height. Building is 57 feet. And the parking you covered pretty well. Also, like you said, the actual effective parking requirements is 93 spaces. We're providing 229. Some of the math he went through in his presentation that showed what the city requirement would be versus what the state requirement is versus what we're proposing. It's actually kind of a coincidence that the city requirement would be 229 spaces, which is actually what we're providing. But ours includes the 76 public spaces, so without those, you could theoretically say you could meet the state parking requirement. This is just a layout of how the parking would work. I think you also covered this, but basically the street level is where you see the yellow highlighting, and that would be the spaces that are reserved for the public. And there's also 17 spaces along the alley at the rear of the building that get access from that one-way alley that's, where the convenient parking is for the people from the communities and those restaurants right behind the project on Grand Avenue. And then the basement parking you covered also, that would be for the
busy three-lane thoroughfare. It's across from very tall buildings at City Hall, which I believe our people told us was right around 60 feet on this, but we'll double check that. And the center, California Center Park is, I think, in the upper 40s to 50 feet. So we respond in height, and the downtown specific plan calls for tall buildings along this street. The vision is, this is a busy street, it's lined with tall buildings, sort of like, say, Fifth Avenue in downtown San Diego, and Hillcrest for scale. So this building fits in with the desire of the downtown specific plan. And the building materials we pull directly from existing buildings in downtown Escondido. The brick and the wood, next door to us is a brick building, so we incorporated brick in our building to work with this style. The colors, everything is kind of a human scale and very appropriate for the downtown core here. Public benefits. We spent a lot of time studying. We walked all the streets with our team. We studied all the elements of the downtown existing buildings and what the plans were through the downtown specific plan. And we realized some of the important elements that this project could bring to help achieve some of those goals. So are basically, we have a linkage, the linkage of Maple Plaza into Great Bay Park is a very important feature element for downtown, through the City Hall complex here. And this will provide this kind of pedestrian realm for this linkage that's shown up here on the lower right in the green. We're activating Maple Street Plaza to really use it as a true festival street, which was the intention of the city spent $1 million enhancing that. We also provide a linkage between Grand Avenue and the park, where Grand Avenue is where we all want to see the restaurants and shops, so it's going to create this pedestrian-friendly environment. And also provides upscale housing for upscale amenities. For the area that don't exist. You have attainable priced housing here with some really upscale amenities, and many of the people we've talked to on the project to say this is the kind of project they want to live in. So we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, so those are kind of some of the intangible benefits, I guess. These are just some examples of some potential economic and fiscal benefits that could result from the project, which include increased tax revenues from property taxes and sales taxes on building materials, job creation for short-term construction jobs, probably not a whole lot of permanent jobs, but there will be some associated with that. Retail space and the management and operation of the building, and then as well as the indirect effects of that. And we think that this project, it's a very upscale project, is going to hopefully increase property values in the area. And obviously we're buying the property from the city, so looking at fair market value for it, it was appraised. And ideally the city would use that money to put it back into some kind of improvements in the downtown area, maybe towards more parking or towards the parking garage, or just another thing to benefit stakeholders. The project's also going to be required to pay over $2 million in impact fees, so that goes for streets, parks, fire, libraries, more money in the coffers. And then hopefully projects like this will increase interest in the area and kind of, in our business, it's kind of like people don't want to be the first ones to see something. Once they see something get established and get built, then it's kind of paving the way. So hopefully it'll create more interest in more projects in the area.
One of the things you should know when we first started the project is the city manager, mayor, stakeholders said, look, we're looking for this project to be a marquee project for downtown, to attract other developers to come to town, build similar projects to increase the speed of the revitalization of downtown Escondido for the merchants and customers. So, the they said, really, don't, make this a recognizable project. Make it something that's going to put Escondido on the map. You can see by our renderings, this is a Class A type project that you don't see anyone else come in Escondido to propose that project because it's very expensive, and it's kind of a risk for us to be the first ones to come to downtown and try this. But we made the commitment to go the extra mile to put this Class A building here, hoping that it generates more activity, bring other builders here, and increase, what we always talk about is 50 feet on the street for all these merchants here that have been starving for so long. And just the city promoting that this building is coming over the last couple of years, we believe has actually increased interest in downtown Escondido, where new merchants are moving in all the time. Because people call us to ask us, hey, we're thinking about moving to Escondido, when's your project going to be developed? We're very much interested in that.
So we talked a little bit about the parking study we hired Walker Consultants to do, and they were actually the ones that did the 2006 study, and I think they also did one in 2001. Basically, they studied not just Lot 1, but the whole downtown Escondido area, which on the top right you'll see is what they call a study area. In that study area, there's both private and public parking. So in that entire area, they're saying there's a total of 2,750 public and private spaces. Of those, 1,652 are public, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. So the peak demand occurred, like Mr. Ramos said, between 10 and 1. And basically, during that peak time, there was a surplus of 700 to 850 public spaces available, which is the equivalent of 3.5 to over 4 acres of empty asphalt, which obviously isn't attractive for downtown. And the interesting thing is the lowest demand was during evenings, dinner time, on weekdays and weekends. And as far as Lot 1 specifically, like you guys talked about, about half of the spaces in that lot, there were cars parked there for over 4 hours, which indicated that those have to be some kind of employees either in the city or maybe local businesses. Meaning that the actual high turnover demand is about half of what's there, which is 64 spaces. So those spaces aren't being used effectively, or they haven't been used effectively, and hopefully that'll be considered moving forward.
So what the results of the parking study says is, and what we hear from a lot of stakeholders here, is that there's not a shortage of parking. You can see there's plenty of parking in the downtown core. At least 700 spaces available even at the peak time. But what we know the issue is the issue of convenient parking. We all want to park on Grand Avenue, we want to park in front of our own store or the place we're visiting, and that parking is tight. And like most other downtowns, you might have to park a half block away to get to where you want to go, or if you're a worker, you might have to find a parking lot somewhere near your store and walk to your store and leave the parking on Grand Avenue for your customers. So we've been encouraging the city to actually do more to look at studying other parking garage opportunities and expansion of parking on Grand Avenue. So as part of that, I participated in the stakeholder group for the Grand Avenue visioning plan that happened a couple of years ago. I think it was in 2015, where we studied all the parking and issues around Grand Avenue. And as you know, we came up with a plan that showed how Grand Avenue could be reshaped to make it even a more attractive street with more parking, some diagonal parking, some roundabouts, lighting, special signage. A very wonderful plan that ultimately the city applied for a grant for some of the funding for part of it. They received the grant last year, and they're working on the first phase of the expansion and redo of Grand Avenue. Ultimately, this plan should provide more than 100 extra street spaces. Like Mr. Martin said, the first phase phase, we think is going to add about 30 maybe. So as you see from the diagram on the lower left, it's really hard to see, but
Well, a lot of it's conceptual, so you won't know the actual amount of spaces until we get the final design and really kind of do all the engineering and stuff.
But this is what's going to make downtown Escondido more vibrant, right? More feet on the street from our people in here, and more cars in the street, slowing down traffic, and making this a walkable downtown community, which we think is good for all the residents and the shop owners. So here's just some pictures of the project, a little bit more renderings. This is highlighting the pool deck with cabanas and spa and all that fun stuff. This is similar rendering to what Martin showed. Street shot showing Maple Plaza. Here's how Maple Plaza can be activated with restaurant stays, pedestrian friendly for sure. A few additional renderings of the pool deck and all the things there. That's it. Thank you for your time. We'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. I've got a couple of questions. Who do you expect is going to be the residents there? I mean, is this going to be a wide range of people, or is this targeted towards, I don't know, younger people?
I mean, we've always, we don't have an ingenious answer, but we've always kind of targeted young professionals and people that want to live in this. I mean, Escondido has a lot of great places on Grand Avenue, a lot of good restaurants and shops, great parks, museums. I mean, there's nothing any other city has that Escondido doesn't. So we always thought we would attract those people that want that kind of lifestyle, walking, use all these amenities. But we've also heard a lot of interest from people that want to move down, or retirees that don't want a big house, they want to live somewhere they can walk to all these places and have a lock and leave and be able to travel. And so it's hard to say, but I think it's probably going to be a mix of all different guys.
We've made many presentations to groups here, Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Business Association, on and on and on. And we talk about this, and then we meet people at these presentations. And it's a variety of people that say they would love to live in this type of building. From your council people or mayor to everyone in between, right? We have the workforce housing in the community that we hope downtown workers, waitress or somebody would have a place to stay here. But we do hear a lot of older people, baby boomers that are ready to get out of the big house and want to live in this kind of environment. And what we know is that people in North County like to stay in North County. They don't like to go down to the gas tank in downtown San Diego. They like to stay up here, and they're looking for more amenities and cool places to live in North County. San Marcos North City project is attracting a lot of young people in near the campus, but what we get feedback on is the people, from millennials up, want to see a cooler, older kind of a place like downtown Escondido, where there's a cool vibe and older buildings, and it's not all new construction, but it's just this cool hangout place, and they don't have to drive down to the gas tank or Little Italy to get it. They get it right here. So we expect a lot of millennials to be in this area.
Okay, thank you. Maybe you can answer this question, or maybe it's the parking consultant if they happen to be here. But I'm kind of curious as to what the trends that the consultant is seeing in parking. Are the trends staying the same? In other words, we're overparked, we're underparked, or if we're seeing trends towards being significantly overparked because of just the way people are going to be driving, what they're doing today versus back in history versus what's anticipated on the future. So I'm kind of curious as to whether or not they can, or you can answer that question.
I can give you some generalities, and Addison can address some technicalities on it. As you know, the state has a big push to get us out of our cars, trying to help with the greenhouse gas effects in the environment, and they're pushing mass transit. And they're pushing cities to go for higher density projects with less parking. There's many, many cities, including downtown San Diego, where they don't even want parking in them. They want affordable units, smaller micro units, and no parking because they're on mass transit, they're near trolley lines, and they want to get people on bikes and not in cars. So downtown Escondido, you know, and the city staff at Escondido was learning these things, right? Kind of a suburban downtown city, but you know, there are people that want to live in this kind of building where they don't have to get in their car every day. They can work from home, they can walk to shops, restaurants, and bars from their house, or they can walk 4 blocks and get on mass transit to go to a meeting and come back. So we're seeing a trend where it's less car-centric and more about this connectivity and walkability and bicycling.
Now, are you actually seeing that in some of your other projects?
Oh, for sure. Most cities we go into really want, in combination with the fact that California has been underbuilding housing for so long, we're so many hundreds of thousands of units short. Every city is asking us to increase our densities and decrease our parking. They want in this kind of situation, right? If we were on the outskirts of Escondido, it would be a different story. But in a downtown core, they want to get people on the streets walking and not in their cars, and they want more density. So, and the city of Escondido approached us 4 years ago about that. They basically said, everybody coming to downtown Escondido is underbuilding. The Palomar Hospital site's a good example where they could build 1,300 units and we're proposing 450. So the city has talked about taking those extra units, putting them in a density pool so that other developers coming into town can actually build to a higher density and get people on the streets here, which is so important for our retailers.
You know what it is, I just said, you have to Escondido Transit Center and the light rail connection. Maybe you can take the bus from there to downtown San Diego in 40 minutes. That's faster than driving in traffic. So there's a lot of amenities the city has that just I feel aren't being used to their full potential. I think more projects like this come around and will encourage more use of that stuff. And you know, I think a project like this where somebody's going to want to park 2 or 3 cars, they're just not going to live here because they know they can only get 1 or 2 spaces. So.
And you yourselves and your children and your grandchildren, you know, we're all getting into Ubers and Lyfts, right? So people that live in this kind of environment, if they want to go out to play somewhere and go for a nice dinner, they're likely to take an Uber over to the gastro pubs in San Marcos or Vista, or to walk on the streets here. So it's less car-centric and you know, they're used to mass transit.
Yeah, our consultant was, I guess he's here now, running out from LA, so we're not shooting here, but there's more parking questions you'd be happy to answer anything that's in the report, but it's general.
Did we get that okay? Did we get that okay?
Actually, I would like to hear, what are you seeing in the trends throughout Southern California? And mainly because this is a really important issue. I mean, parking has always been a problem. We come across it again and again. But I would like to hear, you know, where are the trends going, and what do you anticipate in the future?
Sure. Again, my name is Stefan Turoff. I'm Director of Planning for Walker Parking Consultants for the West Coast. And it's a good question. This is actually, sorry I came in here a little late. This is the 3rd city for a public meeting I've been in today. And these questions keep coming up. I'd say, you know, overall, similar to what was just stated, you know, younger people are driving less, they're owning fewer cars. There are always exceptions. There are certainly more empty nesters moving into you know, some more walkable areas, and overall that is the trend. There are always exceptions, but I think for a project like this, which is somewhat unusual, there aren't that many residential projects in a city center, and I know a number of the cities we work for, you know, this is what they want, they would like to see this, but I would remind people, you know, there's a little bit of self-selection going on here. So, you know, typically somebody who has a lot of vehicles, who has, whether an extended family, you know, maybe they have children who just start driving, or they have several vehicles, they would probably not be attracted to this type of project. There are plenty of places where there's plenty of parking, you know, there's plenty of, you know, once you get out of downtown. So I think typically, similar to what was said, there is what we have seen, there is a demand, even if it's, there is a demand for this type of thing, but there's self-selection, whereas if somebody is interested in walking more in, a couple of my employees, my millennial staff, they do not own cars. And they take Uber, they take Lyft, they get around in a way that seems pretty creative, but that's their choice. So I think the trend is moving that way. Certainly we can always think of plenty of exceptions. We've worked on code requirements recently for the city of Vista. We worked on their whole parking ordinance, including residential. We did the same for the city of Orange. And there are certainly plenty of places where people want and drive more and need that. But there is sort of an iterative factor here that people self-select for what they're looking for, their lifestyle. And I think that's part of what comes into play.
Okay, so you're kind of seeing a trend, especially with the millennials, and as they get older, they may so choose to live a different lifestyle than maybe what they're doing as they're younger. They may move on into a different location. But I guess I'm looking for something as the overall trends where people may not be using their cars like they were in the past. And that's
Correct.
what I'm kind of asking. Is that what you're seeing?
Overall, the general blended average, yes. People own fewer cars, people drive, especially in a location like this, people are driving less and they're owning fewer cars. To go to zero cars is very difficult, if not impossible here. But say what we might see is a couple where they have one vehicle rather than, say, 25 years ago they may have had two.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Briefly for the applicant, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for appearing tonight. Gosh, a couple of these are really minor, but I did a count on your trash enclosures on your plan, and there was mention made of it said residents would access that through an 8-foot roll-up door. I'm sure this will seem minor, but there is a point. But it looked like there may be I didn't scale it, but probably a couple of 30, 70 doors in the drawing. My question would be, if all X number, what is there? I think there's like a dozen trash enclosures or dumpsters. Would those all have to be wheeled out by an EDCO unit just parked in the alley? So it goes to a circulation question, I guess.
That's a good question. I think that would probably be the case.
It's on 210.
Yeah, I remember when I lived in downtown in a high-rise, the trash trucks came from the out of the garage where the parking dumpsters were. So I had a truck go in and get the dumpster and drive it out, and then the trash truck would actually put it into the truck and actually walk off. I couldn't get out of the building or anything like that, but I think in this case, they're at the street level. I don't think it's not an 8-foot roll door, I think it's like a double door.
Yeah. I think 8 was the depiction in the drawing. It just seems like.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the actual dumpster ability. It seems kind of excessive, but especially I think there's trash service multiple times a week, so.
It was a minor point, but I thought it went to circulation. That 8 dumpsters in the alley and the truck, could pose a circulation issue. You mentioned greenhouse gases, which makes me wonder, in the renderings, which are terrific renderings, by the way, but I see a lot, I don't see where the HVAC is. I do see a lot of open space on the rooftop. Are you planning any kind of solar? That's the one. Are you planning any solar component up there? Or is that going to include HVAC there?
So there are some HVAC units and clusters on the roof, and then there's 2 or 3 clusters involved with HVAC units. And yeah, we would definitely look to utilize solar. It's just kind of the next phase of how we're going to do the construction drawings and the final design.
Another point, probably not of great consequence, but there was some mention made of security, and but I didn't see the booth. I think you heard the question earlier. Is there an intention to have security there?
So the city wanted us to install an arm at that street level as you drive in. They wanted us to install an arm with a booth, and they could eventually charge for parking. We have no control over what
The residents will have a sticker and park in their stall.
And then as far as security for the building, I don't know if that was your question, but.
Yeah, but I think you answered it. One last question one last thing I'd like to confirm. I know it was in there in Ms. Chapin's report, but soup to nuts to certificate of occupancy, how long?
We've been told, and depending on how fast our consultants can prepare the plan as far as actually getting through the city process, maybe 6 to 8 months is what we've heard.
Okay, and then
And then to construct it is about 20 months.
20 months.
And just on that parking, Commissioner Watson, we intentionally designed the building to have these 17 spaces to access directly off the alley. So they're not under the building or inside it, they're so that people wanting to go to the adjacent tenants or retail shops across the alley from us would have easy access in there, right? You're coming to pick up your pizza at Felipe's, you park in those stalls and pick up your pizza and move on, or go to the restaurants or shops or whatever. So,
And all of those spaces are regulated by the city, so whatever kind of time limits and fees or whatever they want to do, that's not our decision.
Sure. Last question. I asked it earlier, but if you can't say, you can't say. If you don't know, you don't know. But can you tell us who your tenants are going to be, or who you'd like to see in there?
I mean, we don't have anybody.
Commercial.
Yeah, we don't have anybody.
oh, commercial.
Yeah, we don't have any, it's just way too far out in the future. I mean, we'd love to see like a gastro pub on the corner, or something kind of integrate some more activity in that plaza, but,
We want to be very picky with it, although, it's 3 years out. So, when people approach us all the time, it's just way too early to get into negotiations with anyone.
Thank you for answering. I appreciate your answers.
Just a couple questions also. These are all going to be rentals for at least 20 years with the lower income apartments. But doesn't that bind the whole unit to being rental?
It would.
So there's no immediate future is condos. What I'm getting at is the millennials that want to move downtown and be in this great atmosphere. That leads me to my next question. Do you have any idea what you're going to rent these for? I know it's a moot point, but just round figures. You must have some idea of what, by the time you get done with construction, are we looking at $2,000 for a one bedroom?
I guess if the city keeps hitting us with all these stringent requirements, it's going to be $6,000 a month. But, no, we don't know. Probably in the high 1,000s.
I mean, I would think that they would be the highest rents in Escondido, given the location and quality of the projects.
I think it's unfortunate that something that looks like this is rentals and it's not condos. That's my personal opinion. One other question. You say one of the advantages is that there'll be sales tax generated by the materials used in this. Does that mean you're going to be buying local materials? Because that's the only way we're going to realize the sales tax advantage on the materials.
There are definitely businesses in Escondido that could be suppliers of materials.
So that little bullet point, one of the advantages is really not all what it says.
Those aren't like givens, I mean, those are potential.
Okay.
We try to encourage local trades to build in every community we're in, so hopefully that's the case here.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have a question of the applicant? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much. I'm going to open the public hearing, and the first speaker is Donna D'Angelo. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We are going to be running the timer, so after 3 minutes, there's a big hole in the floor.
Hi, I'm from Old Escondido Historic District, and we had a special meeting back in February where several of our residents were allowed to voice their concerns. And I just wanted to reiterate what the majority of our neighborhoods seem to feel that way about this project. One comment doesn't fit the architecture or flavor of Escondido. Multi-story buildings like this that are so tall are going to destroy Escondido. I feel like these types of buildings, these large multi-story buildings, are being shut down our throat. There's too many projects like this going on at the same time. A warning that density may not provide prosperity. There's too many apartments. We need for sale units in Escondido. Again, the architecture is not compatible for the area. Aspire should be located in the heart of Escondido. And again, it's just too much at once. My personal concern is that overall, Escondido seems to be filling up with a lot of rental properties and not really things that people can buy. And I feel that if we want to have a stable future or a prosperous future, we need to be able to own property, and that's good for people. And I think by extension of that, it's good for Escondido too. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sherry Wood. And if you please state your name.
Sherry Wood, I'm a resident of Old Escondido. Most of the things I wanted to say have kind of been addressed, but I just want to make sure that you guys understand how those of us who have lived here in Escondido for a very long time, I've been here over 50 years myself, and I have family ties going back to the 1890s. So it's not like I haven't seen a lot happening here in Escondido. We have a lot of construction going on in the community. I'm trying to reconcile myself to the fact that we're growing. I understand that. As Donna said, I'm concerned with how many rental units we have, which creates for less stability and more fluctuation. Putting this particular project right in the heart of our historic downtown, I have a great concern with. The developers kept saying that they were the forerunners to more development to come. I'm concerned if we open the door to this, we're going to lose our downtown. This development is 6 stories high. Most of the buildings along Grand Avenue are 1 and 2. The City Hall and the Center for the Arts sit far back away from Grand. Okay, they're not right up against it. And I noticed in all of the renderings that they have up here, not one shot from the south looking across downtown at this building. All of them were from around it. Downtown is totally obliterated. I just have great concerns about the fact that we're allowing a modern building with all of the density that goes with it as rentals right in the heart of our historic downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Forgive me for this, but Sacco Agian?
Agian. Yes. Good evening. My name is Sacco Agian, and I'm the owner of Delight of Friends, which is right behind that building. And I have grave concerns that this project is going to adversely affect our business. I heard earlier that it's going to take something like 22 months to complete this project. During that time, the parking situation is going to go from 118 to 0. That's how I see it. So customers will essentially stop coming, and that is a great concern to us. I've been around for the Maple Plaza construction. During that time, we gave up something like 15 or 20 parking spaces, and I witnessed shouting matches in that parking lot for people trying to park their cars. Many times I go there, and I myself and my employees cannot find parking. So it's a real problem, and I just want to state my objection to this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Forster.
Good evening, and gentlemen. My name is Dan Forster, and I'm speaking to you tonight both as a business owner and as the vice president and past president of the Escondido Downtown Business Association. As a business owner on Grand Avenue, I have a dog in this fight when it comes to making our downtown vibrant, inviting, and safe. At Design Mo Kitchen and Bath, we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in our business, as have many other small business owners I see here. Why do we do it? The answer is simple: we believe in Escondido. The same thing that developers do when they take on a project like the Aspire, except for them, it's in the millions. We've all been hearing that we need more housing in San Diego County, and we need affordable housing in San Diego County, and by association in Escondido. Our city leaders had vision when, along with SANDAG, USDOT, Caltrans, MTS, and designated Escondido as a vital and important part of the integrated corridor management system. Having housing along the corridor is in tune with that vision. The Aspire project that Touchstone Communities is planning is also in step with that vision. We need to promote people living in a downtown area with nearby access to transportation. Having the Aspire building along with the Ivy, Alcove, Latitude 33, and other communities, we have a chance at the beginning of a culture to get out of our cars, use the amenities available to us, and we're able to live within walking distance to that transportation. The naysayers that complain about lack of parking downtown are mistaken. I walk around downtown, I see plenty of parking at all times of the day. There are lots that I normally see only a handful of cars in. But to say we have a parking problem, that I say, really fantastic, because that means that we have businesses that they want to come into. It means we have people shopping and dining and enjoying the entertainment that we have happening downtown. With a $1.4 million grant from SANDAG and the City of Escondido's approval of a $1.1 million matching funds grant for the Grand Avenue Vision, the City of Escondido has secured a bright future for a vibrant downtown. So to all of us that have a dog in the fight, those of us that support a vibrant, engaging, safe, and prosperous downtown, we're thrilled to have the Aspire project as part of downtown Escondido, and we hope and aspire to bring in more projects like this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Julianne Jones.
Good evening. Nice to meet you. I'm Julianne Jones, owner of Studio 158, and I'm on the DBA. My concerns have been at most in front. For 18 years I've been a salon owner. I've had 4 salons in 4 locations. My concern is for the customers. On a daily basis, I get to hear clients that are so upset about getting ticketed during a time like Don was referring to. Sorry, Mr. Roman, OGHS. We have clients that spend money on Grand Avenue. They eat, they play, they have their hair done, and they don't have time. They have to move their cars in between. So we did raise the parking to 3 hours, and it helped significantly. However, 2 hours is not enough time to have lunch, shop, eat, dine, and play. So my concern, along with a lot of my hairdresser, there's 30 salons in this area, like right on Grand Avenue, is when there is a project, which I embrace change. I can't wait for this project to go through. However, my concern is the interim. We've lived through it before with Maple Street. I was on Maple and Grand at that time. When there's no parking, when city parking is taken by city, and then other businesses that have been grandfathered in that have wage in the employees, there's nowhere for the employees to park. So then they suggest that we move our staff to Woodward. Well, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's not a good move, especially for young females walking the distance. So like I say, I've listened to my predecessors, Jim Crone, Tom DeAugusta. I've been in this town for 55 years. My parents were here in the 40s. This parking problem is a Band-Aid. It needs to be fixed, and we need a parking structure. I've been on this rampage for 18 years, and I know that's what the city needs. We need a parking structure, or 2. Then we can go forward with these wonderful projects. I mean, we could have so much fun with the Live, Eat, Pray model downtown. But before we do that, let's do what's right this time. Let's get a parking structure first. Let's stop the nonsense with how we're going about each project. Yes, Why are we taking lots 4? Lot 4 is a mess already. I already lived in that lot. And then lot 1, there's not enough room. We have customers that have to move their cars during services as well as employees. It's really inconvenient. And that's all really I have to say. I hope you make the right decision, but it's not time yet. We need parking first, and then we can do our projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Bolbeck?
Hello, I'm here in behalf of the Escondido Antique Mall. I've been managing now for a little while, and I asked the customers, can I help you to your car? It's a 2-block hike for an employee. We have 3 employees at the store. We're walking blocks and blocks to help take lamps, serve side tables. When you say that there's a parking spot that we need to park further away to make it more convenient for our customers, we don't have that. We don't have any parking spot for us would be on the other side of 2nd, where we'd have to play Frogger to get across to try to get to the store, which I have elderly customers that have to do that all the time. Right now, thank goodness to John Paul University that they let us park in their parking lot. There were 75 cars in that parking lot on Monday. This is a private person that is helping with this parking problem because they see it. It's one of our neighbors that is like, yes, there's a problem. We'll let you park 75 cars. 75 cars are not in this study. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Louisa Mangun?
My name is Louisa Magoon. I own the Grant Tea Room on Grand Avenue. I'm also on the board of directors for the Downtown Business Association. I've lived in Escondido for almost 40 years. As a downtown business owner, I am in support, I'm in favor of this project. Our downtown has the foundation to become a much more vibrant and active community that attracts people from across the county who are eager to live, work, eat, drink, and shop at our many great establishments. The Aspire project will bring new life to our downtown and provide a built-in neighborhood customer base who can walk to local shops, restaurants, parks, and museums. This is a favorable project. The biggest concern, of course, to people is the parking. But as we've seen, the project has plans for 76 parking spaces that will replace the 118 that are going to go away. However, the city has secured this grant that we've been talking about, and that grant includes upgrades to add additional parking, which will mitigate the development impact. And then further upgrades and funding are in the planning stages so that downtown improves right along with several planned developments in Escondido. The net result of this will be additional parking. I, however, am concerned with the parking during the construction of this project. So I hope that this diagonal parking happens before the construction starts. We should all be encouraged by the bigger picture, which will be an expanded economic activity downtown, which will further enhance Escondido as a destination location. Please support this project for the benefit of the community and downtown businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Pam Boyer?
Take my 3 minutes, get it out here. I'm just telling you that I'm from Grab Bag Antiques, and I've been there for almost 25 years. And I don't like this project at all for 2 reasons. Number 1, the parking. We lived through this when they changed downtown in the 1980s, and they tore up the streets on where the antique mall was when we were there. And it took a long time. Lots of stores went out of business, just barely made it. And we had to come up with a project to bring people back downtown, which was the farmers market, because it took so long to do the construction. Nobody could park, nobody could do anything. I don't know if anybody's been here that long to remember that. But the thing is, if they want to tear up the streets now, which we were told at the DBA meeting would take 2 years just to do that 1 block, to do the diagonal parking, take out all of our beautiful trees, our everything that's downtown that's aesthetic, just to put diagonal parking. and then you're building a big building behind this at the same time, you've got construction everywhere. Where is anybody going to park? Where are the people who are going to build this building going to park? Think about that. Where is anybody going to park? What we really need is for this project, which looks way too avant-garde and ultra-modern for that part of Escondido. Looks like a nice building. I didn't think so to start with, but I think it would be good somewhere else. But we need a parking structure there, and then they wouldn't have to tear up Grand Avenue and destroy the looks of downtown, which is very beautiful. This is called historic downtown Escondido, which is old-fashioned and charming, without an ultra-modern building right behind it. When we got our building 25 years ago, they told us we could not have gold and yellow lettering. We could only have white and yellow lettering because it didn't work. It would be too cartoonish or like a circus. You can imagine that for downtown. But now we're going to put a building that looks like it belongs in Orange County, right smack in the middle of downtown Escondido. Also, I have one other question. I might go over my 3 minutes, but have any of you heard, any developers or anything, these buildings can be built and only have to be occupied at a 20% occupancy rate so many years after they're built? Does anybody have any answer to that question? Because I heard a man told me he wanted to buy in Vista, where they're building all those buildings, and they told him he couldn't because they by law, didn't have to rent it any more than 20% capacity. And if this is the case, why are we building more until the buildings are full we have now? And there's dozens of them and more to come. So that's just me.
Thank you. Michael Crone.
Good evening. My name is Michael Crone, and I have an office on Enterprise Street. My father, James Crone, could not make it tonight as he is out of town. He sent you all a letter to express his concerns about eliminating the public parking lot on Lot 1 and replacing it with an underparked condo project. I hope you all got a copy of the letter and had time to read it. If not, I have extra copies for you guys. I will only touch on a few things, as it's much too long to read in the 3 minutes I have. There's a long history for parking lot 1, which is explained in the letter. Building a condo project, first and foremost, should not be done without an environmental impact report. There are too many issues to review and evaluate by the planning and engineering departments, planning commission, and city council without having adequate information on how it will impact all of the businesses that rely on the parking lot to support themselves. Environmental impact. Part also needs to address what parking will be used during the construction phase of this project. The proposed project is significantly underparked and will be utilizing tandem parking to try and substitute providing adequate parking. Tandem parking is not adequate or convenient form of parking. All businesses in Escondido are required to provide adequate parking when developing a project. This project is not providing enough parking under the zoning code for a condo project in Escondido. If approved, once completed, this project will be underparked, and as per the current zoning code, which will surely cause occupants to park in the public parking that they are providing, which is significantly less than the parking they are taking away from the public. The businesses on Grand Avenue cannot survive without parking during or after construction. The project is also adding over 4,000 square feet of commercial space in addition to the condos and not providing one parking space for that additional commercial square footage where those employees and customers are supposed to park. In conclusion, this project should be reevaluated under an environmental impact report, not a negative declaration. Traffic study and impact on business during and after construction should be taken into consideration before taking away precious parking spaces that both the businesses and property owners rely on in downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana Gill.
Hello, my name is Diana Gill. I've been an employee at Felipe's Pizza Grotto for 23 years. I have been a manager probably about 13 to 15 years of that. I've been going to parking meetings for that whole time, and parking is a problem we have in downtown Escondido. Before Maple Street project, we had 145 spots. Doing the Maple Street project, I think they took about 25 to 30 spots away from us, and that was detrimental. Thankfully, to the Downtown Business Association, they helped me get a couple spots that were 15-minute parking spots because my restaurant and other places on Grand Avenue do to-go orders. So I do thank the DBA in helping me do that. Parking in downtown is a problem. The reason why the parking gentleman, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, he said that he'd done a study and there's a lot of people that sit there. We have a college that uses our parking lot as well. We also have another neighboring business, I do not want to use names because I'm not trying to detriment anybody, but they use the parking as well. They have 300 cubicles. My employees, thankfully, we don't have cars. I have my own parking spot. We have a couple employees at night with vehicles. But to hear that you're going to take our parking away completely from our businesses and our patrons is ridiculous. To replace it with 70-something spots that will then be taken by the people that live in that building because they don't have adequate parking leaves nothing for Grand Avenue and their patrons. They give a lot of sales tax. You get a lot of sales revenue from us and the people that come and shop in our building. How much are you going to get from those buildings and people living in there? If you can fill them, you know what, we'll be busy. And I'm happy to know, I think it'll be great for us. But I don't care about those new people coming to Grand Avenue. I care about the relationships I've dealt with families for 23 years. I have the Smiths that come see me every Tuesday. I have the Johnsons that come see me every other Friday from up north. I have people that I've dealt relationships with because they come to our parking lot and come and see not only my establishment, but many establishments on Grand Avenue. I'm looking forward to developing new relationships with new people that might move into those buildings behind us, if they get filled. But my concern is about the people that have developed Grand Avenue, developed the businesses on Grand Avenue that help supply us who we are. I just want adequate parking. I'm not against the project. Give us 2 floors of parking. It went from 4 stories to 6 stories. Give us more parking. That's all I want for Grand Avenue and the businesses of Grand Avenue. Thank you for your time. And also I have 6,000 plus signatures that I've already presented to you guys of people that want to keep parking lot 1 a parking lot. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Patty Thompson.
I run a Facebook page. It's got almost 50,000 people on it. Yesterday and today I posted about the situation, and what I'd like to do is just give you a basic reading of what your community is saying. Stephanie May, we will lose Felipe's if this happens. Linda Montoya Garcia, just wrong. Jerry Guinness, it's all about the money for the city. Javier Garcia, I don't like it. Linda Malone Ricksman, killing local businesses. Priscilla Galvin, we have lived here 49 years, and since opening we go to eat about 2 to 3 times a month. Sometimes more if we take guests. I hope they will find another solution and leave this restaurant alone. They're referring to Felipe's. Diana McGowan, that's crazy, no more apartments. Bev Webb. I also signed a petition. Public parking will be minimal at best if passed. Robert G. This is all an attempt to force people to use public transit, except like most San Diego cities. The infrastructure is simply not there to have decent public transit. Notice how roads magically go from 2 lanes down to 1 after they repave it. That's called road diet. They're doing that all over the county to make congestion worse and try to get you to consider public transit. Ultra-high density housing right near a transit hub, think that's a coincidence. And all of this without considering the current situation. This is Leo photo. This is insane. We do not need more apartments, especially in downtown area. Please stop this madness. We are losing our gorgeous city. Nancy Avison. This is the worst idea I've heard in this city. Joe Ward, don't tread on Felipe's Pizza. Janet Macon. They already had a petition going around trying to stop it last year. It doesn't sound like the government cares that Felipe's and other restaurants on Grand had a lot of people sign it. Carol Ray, it's actually less than 1 space per unit, and this is going before the Planning Commission at 7 tomorrow. Stephanie May, we will lose Felipe's if this happens. Jeremy Forget, it's all typical city greed. Line their pockets while they litter our city with overpriced apartments, dollar stores, and car washes, killing any chance for small business and anything that might actually contribute to our economy. Dale Crawford, I don't like it. Hey Guy, underground parking downtown, there's really a high water table. Patricia Strickler, terrible idea. Rebecca Guerrero, terrible idea. We don't need more apartments. It will kill those businesses when patrons have nowhere to park. That area is hard enough to find parking, is getting congested. And there's a petition going around, sign it. This is actually a full, I mean, maybe 3 comments in the entire thing, over 70 plus comments are all extremely negative. I can tell you that I actually believe the gentleman that was up here was selling the transit center and the younger generation moving in. I'm a real estate agent of 27 years. I felt that it's a sale, and if you guys are getting information from him and taking it as advice, I'm sorry that you would, instead of getting the engineer's reports that you need.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Stamos?
Good evening. My name is Tom Stamos, and I'm a 30-year resident of Escondido. I'm here tonight to speak in support of the Spire development. In the 30 years my family's lived here, Grand Avenue really hasn't changed that much. Many of the restaurants and other storefronts have changed, but the potential to be a vibrant, desirable, and successful downtown core has escaped every manner of plan. We're at a time and place now when the type of downtown can finally be realized with the addition of the Aspire project and others like it. I'm a residential realtor, and many people here are familiar with the term highest and best use, simply meaning what is the highest and best use for any specific property site or building. The highest and best use for Lot 1 is clearly not just a parking lot. I submit that the Aspire project can be considered the highest and best use for this property. It checks a lot of boxes. We're in the midst of a severe housing shortage. San Diego County region is short some 140,000 homes. No one development will solve this issue, but this one maximizes the housing on this space and helps the city meet the regional housing needs allocation in the general plan. The downtown core desperately needs more people to support Grand Avenue businesses, and Aspire will house some of those people. The upscale amenities included will attract the ideal consumers needed in this area. Aspire is a smart growth development. Residents will be easily able to take advantage of the transit infrastructure the city has invested in. The location on Maple Street Plaza will revitalize the center of Grand Avenue, which will attract businesses and visitors alike. And it will create some permanent employment. Not only will the business in the downtown area benefit, but also the city will benefit, which helps us all. The developer is paying fair market value for the parking lot. Taxes will generate revenues. The project will pay over $2 million in development fee impact fees. It provides an aspect that you just can't put a price on, and that's the increased interest in our city by outside investors. And addressing the parking situation, the analysis finds that the project would actually have a surplus of parking if the parking time would be limited to less than 4 hours. The study suggests that Lot 1 is 45 to 65% used by employees who could be required to park in other nearby lots that are underutilized. And, you know, has anybody even thought about using the Center for the Arts parking lot? It just sits there empty most of the days. There's other boxes that I don't have time to check, and Aspire does check all those boxes, so the highest and best use of parking lot 1 could still be a parking lot with a ton of other benefits for the city of Escondido residents.
Thank you. Carol Ray.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Carol Ray. I live in the downtown area in Old Escondido, and this Aspire project is in the wrong location, and the building is wrong for our unique downtown. The parking situation is a challenge, and I think enough people have spoken to that, although I'll say that when I retired from city employment just about 10 years ago, and I remember getting regular emails from the city manager's office saying, warning us, do not park in the Felipe's lot. because it's affecting the businesses. But now the city is saying, apparently, it's okay for city employees to park there, and they are claiming it's an underutilized lot. So where the city employees are supposed to park, I don't know. And actually, I do know they're also supposed to park in the Center for the Arts parking lot. And by the way, that is shared now by 2 schools, Boys and Girls Club, Center for the Arts, which has activities going on throughout the day, the swimming pool, Grape Day Park, the History Center. That lot is to capacity very often. I volunteer at the History Center, and some days it's a challenge to find a space. I noticed a kind of a discrepancy here in the presentation. The developer was praised that he was contributing to the Maple Street Plaza. That $3 million project for the city that belongs to the community is going, according to the staff report, 16 feet of that is, and you can see this on page 8 of the staff report toward the top. 16 feet of it is being given to the developer, and then where developers normally pay into the public arts fund, the developer does not have to do that. Because instead he's moving his furniture around in the Maple Street Plaza, plus he's taking money out of the current public art fund to help him do that. He's already getting a gracious reduction in building permit fees by going back to 2017 prices, and so I really wonder about that situation. I also feel that the reduced open space, just go to the park, go to Grape Day Park. Well, the city finances are so poor right now. We have 2 park rangers that cover all of the city parks. So now we're impacting the park with these people from this apartment and more apartments to come, Ivy as well. And will city funds be provided to compensate for all those people who will be impacting the park? It's a bad idea. I hope that you really think about this and vote against it. There are better projects or better ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy Bass.
Good evening, Tracy Bass. I live in the old Escondido Historic District, and I've been selling real estate here in Escondido for 33 years. Guess what? There's not a housing shortage. There's lots of houses available. Okay, sorry, that's a big lie they've been telling you. There's lots of houses. It's a great market right now. This project, unfortunately, I don't understand why you would be willing to let this man have an exemption on the, what is it called, CEQA? And then he wants an exemption on from 4 stories to 6 stories, and then he wants an exemption on 79 units to 131 units, and then he wants an exemption on the 300 living space square feet that they're supposed to have to 212. All these exemptions. What is he doing? What is he guys giving you all free houses or what? I don't understand it. Why would you allow that? And then we're talking about real estate. This other gentleman said best use. The best use is to have ownership. Because people that have ownership, they take pride in what they buy. And they're going to have enough money to buy this beautiful complex, then they're going to have money to spend on Grand Avenue. Low rent income people don't have money to go to the restaurant. Sorry guys, they don't. Okay? And so you're doing this low and then lower, and then I guess medium rent. Why would you want that in a prime piece of real estate? So why don't you have him redo his project with 79 units, with 4 stories, with 300 square feet of open space per unit. You know, let him do it like the recipe calls for, and let's see if he still wants to do the project. He wants everything for him, and he's telling you that you guys are going to benefit, and I don't see where you benefit.
He has reduced fees. He has extra, so that we can have low-income people living in great old downtown and taking away the parking. I mean, it's totally a ridiculous program. So I'm sorry, but I really hope that you guys will reject it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go Tracy.
Patricia Borkman.
Okay, let's see, I'm going to start out. My name is Patricia Borschman. I had submitted correspondence to you, personal correspondence, and since that was prepared, there's been a lot of updated information submitted. So some of the concerns that were identified in my correspondence apparently have been partially resolved because the applicant submitted last week a lot of technical material and evidence and technical reports prepared by consultants that were submitted August 21st. I had looked at the application in July, and so I had a lot of concerns about the CEQA exemption, cumulative impacts, etc. I still have concerns that I don't think have been completely resolved, but we'll talk about some of those later. One of the issues that hasn't been resolved is about critical infrastructure deficiencies. I know the conclusions in the staff report all indicate there are no problems. I think that conflicts with evidence that's contained in the city's city council action plan that was prepared in 2017-18. It has a section that indicates that under economic strategy number 6 for economic development, the comment in that plan indicates that the fire department has identified aging infrastructure as an impediment and increased fire flow requirements in the urban core. And the plan indicates it's been resolved, but there's no evidence that this consultant that was hired to, try to come up with a financing plan or a conformant district, there's no evidence in the file to say what work, was completed or how that was fixed. My last concerns are about architecture. This is a building that does not belong here. The building introduces angular, rectangular features, and there's no continuity with the existing Center for the Arts or the City Hall. Like what other speakers have said, those buildings are placed in a way that is, it's an important statement. You've seen plans that have been prepared by consultants that see a vision for Great Day Park and a makeover, and it envisions a civic center. This is a piece of property that does not belong to be a 6-story, this is an unattractive, inferior building for this landmark location. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom DiAugusta.
Thank you for having me come up. I think I have everybody beat. I've been here 81 years. I've had 5 buildings downtown, 2 businesses, and the biggest complaint we always had was parking. I like one thing this lady said, fix the parking first, then let's look at the center. I like that, because we need parking. Number one, the city paid $32,000 one time and 12 and eggs for a Walker study that tells you why we need parking and why we have another study that didn't make sense. When Walker was done, it said to tell the businesses what we need. I guess what's really puzzling me is that another thing too, if we have diagonal parking and we do 30 degrees from city to city to the hospital, we gain 69 parking places. And the reason we want 30 degrees, easy in, easy out, make it user-friendly for the customers. Customers are number one. Having the buildings we had, the hardest thing I had to do was keep employees. Everybody says, the employees can park anywhere. Well, where? Do we park on 3rd? So we take all our mess from Grand Avenue and we move it on 3rd. And then there's a mess there. And then we take that mess and move it on 8th. We've got to solve it. It's real simple. Let's just do a parking structure. Let's get the parking set to save downtown. It works. I've had businesses. It works. Our shoe store was #1 in the state for one location. 26 employees. We can do it again. It's that give us the parking, quit taking it away. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Misty Embry.
Hello, my name is Misty Embry and I'm a lifelong resident of Escondido. I believe that this project is a travesty to our city. I don't know if any of you have tried parking on Grand Avenue on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night. It's not an easy thing to do. I also worry about all these workers. We have bars, restaurants. Where are these workers supposed to park? At 2 a.m., they're supposed to run across streets in the dark to find their cars? Absolutely asinine. Not only that, but this project is a huge, hideous eyesore. It does not belong in our city. I can't stress enough. I've been a real estate agent for over 20 years. We do not have a housing problem. Maybe a low-income housing problem, but these 9 units are a joke. They will not fix our housing problem. It's actually a buyer's market right now. You can go find a home. You're gonna pay almost $2,000 to rent a home? That's absolutely crazy. Where's our property tax from this? We're not gonna see a dime from property tax. It's all gonna be in rentals. This is something that you guys really need to take into consideration. I have heard 3 people that support this project. 3 people. I don't know if you guys listen to our community, but we do not want this project. It's a flippin' joke. And I can't get over the fact that we've come this far without we, the people, having a say. I mean, you guys have already sold the darn property without us even knowing about it. It's got to end, and it's got to end now. You guys need to do what's right for the people that voted you guys in, the people that want you here. Do what's right for us. Listen to us. This project does not need to go through. We need parking. 76 parking spots, that's gonna go to all the residents and their guests. It's not gonna go to anybody that's coming to downtown. Please, listen to us and stop this project.
Thank you. Darcy Roger Tracy.
My name is Darcy Roger Tracy, and I've lived here for 47 years. My mother bought my sister and I shoes at the Augustus. We've been going to Felipe's since 1972. It is a favorite restaurant of my family's, and every friend I introduce to that place. We go to Delight of Friends every weekend, and we use the parking lot that you're looking at getting rid of. Per your own study that was shown on the picture, we need 229 parking spots, including guest spots, for this structure. They're going to give us 229 parking spots with 76 for guests and for public. So we're losing 118 spots because there's no way that these people are going to not have more than 1 car. Average income in the city is about $59,000. Quick Google search showed me that for the Alcove, which is one of the newest buildings here, 2-bedroom apartment costs anywhere between $2,600 and $3,000. Average income needed for that would be about $100,000 a year. So for the average person, they would need 2 income earners to be able to afford a two-bedroom apartment here. There is no infrastructure in place for good public transportation in the city. I've been all throughout Europe, almost every major city in the US. We are not a major metropolitan city. We are a suburb. I had to use public transportation at one point when I injured my knee. It took me over an hour to get what would have been a 15-minute drive. Yes, we have the coaster. It only goes to Oceanside. I've tried to use it to meet up with the train to go to LA. It doesn't go at convenient times to match up with that. We don't have any grocery shopping downtown. Yes, we have lots of restaurants. My husband and I frequent them often. Delight of France, Vincent's. We love going downtown. We prefer going downtown here than going down to San Diego. But we want available parking. We are going to lose that parking. We're not gaining 79 spots, we're losing 118 spots. We're also heading into a recession right now. This is going to take over 2 years to build. By the time the recession hits, the chances of this company filing for bankruptcy because they don't want to continue this project are pretty high. And so not only will you lose the building, you'll lose the parking. So that should be really taken into account. And they're asking for a lot. All of this increased density, giving us 9 low-income apartments for people that have to make 60 grand. That's barely the the income for Escondido. So, and now that I've seen the building, it's very ugly. So I don't think that it promotes the aesthetic of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Brenda Stearns.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Stearns. I've had a business on Grand Avenue for the last 7 years. This is an absolutely gorgeous development, but it doesn't fit our historic downtown from what I can see. We have a really unique downtown here, and it's quickly changing, which change happens. I see that. I've seen it over the last 25 years, but I don't think this change is going to benefit anybody but the developer. My issues concerning the parking, I happen to be on one of the corners that has good parking. I've been lucky that way. I've got 2 private lots behind me, as well as side parking and a public lot behind me. If this goes through, my parking will be absolutely impacted, and not in a positive way. There's no way that overflow parking isn't going to move into the areas that have good parking now without affecting them. I have a question. This project was put through, and as a sale of this property, we have only so much property in downtown. How do you sell a city lot? Was this put up for a competitive bid, or how does that work? Can anybody clarify whether it goes up for competitive bid?
We have nothing to do with the sale. We're just examining.
Okay, that's a question I had. The other question I had is this project is not benefiting what we thought when the city put in our Center for the Arts. We were always told a hotel, a nice hotel, was supposed to go in down here. We haven't had that, and I think it is taken away from what our city center could do if we had a decent hotel down here. So my question, I guess, is reconsider this project. The impact is going to be detrimental to so many of the businesses that are already established and have been here for so many years on that block that have really worked hard to keep their businesses alive because of the lack of parking there. It has been a problem for so many years. I agree with putting in some parking before you start minimizing what parking we do have by putting in developments that take it away. I hope that you do consider this as a long-term impact on the beautiful downtown that we have in Escondido, because it is such a diamond in the rough, and I think we can make it better. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the speaker slips I have. Does anybody else in the audience wish to speak about this? Okay, I'm going to close public hearing and open it for commissioner discussion.
Well, first, I think I need to thank everybody that come out this evening to participate in this process. This process is not easy. There's a lot of different and opposing opinions on how development occurs within the city of Escondido. But there are plans. There's plans in place that have been reviewed and re-reviewed at various times throughout the city's history. The one that we are using to take a look at this project is the downtown specific plan. And the downtown specific plan calls out for high density residential in a good part of this portion of the city. On top of that, we have influences that are coming down from the state of California. Those influences are saying you have to increase your density, you have to increase your housing within the cities. And along with that, it provides for, or mandates on occasions, reductions in certain standards that cities typically will have in place. Those are being pushed down upon this city. Reduced parking, other incentives to increase the density. So these are the things that are coming down from the state. And nobody seems to be pushing back at the state level. So our hands are tied many times when we are reviewing these sort of projects. So I just wanted to preface that. Personally, I like the project. I think it'll be good for the downtown. I think it brings more people to the downtown. I think it will help the businesses in the downtown, creates the vibrancy that is needed. I've lived here and grew up here in Escondido, and it is only within the last several years that I'm starting to now go to the downtown to go to dinner, to walk around and enjoy the downtown, because that vibrancy is increasing. And I think that we need to perpetuate that, and I think this project will help do so. So I'm in support of this project.
It looks like McDonald's on Ash. Just so we're clear, it doesn't look like Escondido
I'm sorry.
downtown.
I'm in agreement with Commissioner Weiler. The downtown area has been empty too long, and I believe there's a lot of great businesses that are there, that have been there. There are a lot of great businesses that are on their way to coming there soon, and the only way that anything is going to survive, or the city is, that vibe is going to survive, is to bring more people to the downtown area. People say there's parking, people that work, people that live, people all around the area say there's parking issues. I live in the area, obviously. I go down there, I don't have a parking issue. I may not be able to park right in front of where I want to go, but I actually enjoy the walk up and down Grand Avenue. I do. So I'm in favor, and I can support the project, because I foresee the future of businesses of the downtown area.
I've only lived in Escondido for 15 years, and I've watched Grand Avenue struggle. I drive down Grand Avenue, I see for rent, empty space. I know what it takes to fill those spaces, and that's people that are within the area. I'm looking forward to these projects coming to fruition and getting more people in the downtown area. The Ivy is coming. Palomar will be here at some time. I think we need this kind of a project to put vitality into downtown.
I don't have a problem with the architecture. I happen to like the mix of architecture styles in an area, not everything looking the same like Santa Fe. And I think there is a little bit of concern for parking for the residents of this, but you know, being a dinosaur and knowing that everybody has to have their own car, I believe the younger generations are going away from that. I see my children taking Uber rather than driving. So I think I can support this project, and I think it will be good for Escondido.
Most people commute. Most.
I too support this project. I can't see not supporting it. I like infill. I think we can avoid urban sprawl. I think we incentivize infill with density transfer, and I think the state does as well for a reason. And so with any project that comes before us, and we see an insufficiency of parking, that always, I suppose, sticks in my craw a little bit. But gosh golly, for the construction projects that I manage, I'm year after year I'm reminded that it's never an exactly perfect, ideal situation. And I think, truth be told, a little parking deficit here I wish could be addressed. I really do. But when I consider the trade-off that I see and the spur of activity in residents and development and activity and growing our downtown that I too have seen with numerous boarded up or for rents, and it's kind of like the broken window theory. Gosh, it just seems to be a dead or quiet downtown. But that vitality that Commissioner Weiler mentioned is back. I do go downtown with my wife, and I'm happy to do so. But as Commissioner Span said, I too like to see a little difference in architecture. Gosh, we're never going to find a consensus on architecture, but I like it. And so I guess for that reason, for those reasons, I'll support it. Thank you.
I have listened and hear the concerns. When I read the report, I was concerned about parking. First thing that came to my mind. And we talk about the future and we talk about now, but we have a problem now. And I think one of the best suggestions that has come out is that we need a parking structure. We absolutely need to do that, but reality is that it's not our purview. That is City Council. I encourage you to continue to fight for that, because it is absolutely necessary. I cannot speak for my fellow commissioners, but as I listen, it certainly seems to me that we would be very interested in seeing something like that. Do I want downtown to be livened up, revitalized? Yes, I think we all do. I think we all want to see something better, more people growing. And I'm struggling very, very much with which way to go in regard to this project. Because I think we need development in order to be able to bring people to help develop our downtown, the businesses downtown. But it's true that if we do get rid of this, while the construction is going on, we're getting rid of massive parking. What's the plan? I didn't see anything about that. That is a concern that I have. Going to 6 floors, I felt a little better when I saw, okay, this is only 7 feet is the difference. Okay, it didn't look so bad, but then I looked at the pictures, the drawings, and I look at the drawings and, wow, it's certain areas, certain shots look like it's a okay because you have the AT&T building in the background. It seems to be about the same. The old hospital over there, it's up in the mountains, so it seems to be okay. With a certain shot from City Hall, that's what the height was for a City Hall. It seemed to be okay, but then there's one where you have this little corner and it looks like a miniature park. And I don't know that. And the other one was the bank. It looks like a toy next to the building. But I have to try to weigh that, try to figure out, do I think that it will benefit more or not? And as I sit here, I have to think about the downtown specific plan as part of the general plan. What are the guidelines that are set to us? Because we don't just do what we want. We have guidelines that we have to work with. What the state has been doing. A lot of this density, we have no control over. When we discussed the density transfer program, question after question to staff was, well, the density bonus, we have no control over. We can't do anything. So as I listen and try to do the best that I can in my limited, finite mind, I would like to see a parking structure come before us, please. I think we need to do that. Regardless if this project moves forward or not, we still need that. Is the city going to give up the parking for the employees that's over here on the corner? And to the residents, not the residents, I'm sorry, to the customers during that time? It's a few spaces, but I think it would certainly show that the city is trying to resolve something, which is not our decision, but I would certainly ask about that. Rental versus purchase, that was one of the questions that I had, but it's already been asked and answered. It seems like we have work to do. I think that's what it boils down to. We have a lot of work to do, and make sure that we don't have Grand and Valley Parkway developing at the same time, because it will become a disaster. That much more than it could be. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming out. You provide us with the balance that we need. And, well, thank you. Thank you for listening to my heart.
There's a couple of things going on with this project. First of all, one of the concerns was where the work is going to work. In that report, it indicates that they will have that parking lot where the work is actually possible. And I'm sure that the developer will find it work is actually parking on the street, behind the project. There is a way that they can get that accomplished. It does say that they will need to rent lots or something that would manage the parking issues for the workers and all that. We are forced by the state to have to do the density bonuses and give in those other options to them. There's not options in certain portions of that at all. It's something that we're going to do. When I look at the Maple Street Plaza, what I really envision, and I know this is going to be horrible for everybody, it's another building identical to that on the other side of that bank building is, and John Paul Great is, and you build that plaza that would become new court. It would be beautiful. It would actually look like Overlook or something like that, where it becomes walkable. And people will come from different areas of the communities to be there on that spot. They won't be thinking of Restaurant Road, they'll be thinking we're going downtown. That's what I start to envision. The most important thing of all this is even after this gets approved, because I count it will be approved tonight,
it still has to go before the city council. And that's the final say that you all have. Regardless of how this vote comes out, it is going before the city council. And so at that time, you'll have your opportunity again to come back and have those questions. But when Touchstone came last time, they had made a deal to pay $300,000 years back, and we held them to that deal. The deal's the deal. This time they made a deal in 2017. That's what the deal was cut. We didn't do it. We don't have a choice, but we have to be honorable and manage to what they agreed to then. And that's what we're doing now. So we're agreeing to that. It's beyond our control how that happened or where it's at. But that's what's going on. It did occur back in 2017. That's managed. And we can go ahead and change and do all that, but that's not fair. You can't expect developers to be having changing rules all the time and expect them to want to come here and work. They just won't do it. And we do need to have a better community. We do need to have more people downtown. It is getting vibrant, and you can tell me Friday nights during the summer, it's packed. It's packed. I get it. Friday nights in January, it's dead. It's empty. And that's what we're trying to do, is make it a year-round destination, not a 5-month destination. Well, I don't know how long it is, but a 5-month destination. And that's what we're looking to get accomplished with having more density down there. And lastly, if we make housing affordable for younger families to start, we're building all those houses on the outskirts of town right now. They're in the $700, $800, $900 million ranges. They'll be able to transition into those types of housing. And it starts to develop a long-term community. And that's what we're trying to do here, is develop a long-term community. We're not trying to have people move in and out. We're giving them their starter homes now. And then they can move out to the next home, and the next home. And the kids will go to school here. And that's the goal, is to make this community revitalized. I don't see many young people here right now. I haven't even had a conversation.
I sell real estate.
And that's what we need, is younger people here participating in this aspect. And there's
Younger
just-
people live with their parents because they can't afford rent.
So that's what we're looking at. With that.
Not
Okay,
affordable
this is
housing.
not a public hearing.
9 units of affordable housing is not affordable.
Let me say what I have to say, and then we can entertain a vote. I have no problem with the design of this. I know it is not historic, but in 50 years, it will be classic. In 100 years, it'll be historic. I do have a problem with what we're giving them as far as the height exception. And as far as the state mandate for density bonus, we don't, if there wasn't the element of the less income apartments, they wouldn't be getting the bonus. If this project came in looking just like that, with the exception of the sign, that sign is awful. The signage on this is terrible. I hope that's not the finished, doesn't represent the finished sign. It's in a place where nobody's going to see it because they're going to be coming up a one-way street. If this project came in, even with the 79 units it was supposed to get and the density transfer from the city coffers, I would be in favor of it. I think it's just over the line a little bit as far as too dense, too high. I would love to see these be condos, because I would like to see ownership in the heart of Escondido. I'm not going to vote for this, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. So could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve PHG 19-0014.
Moved in second. We vote on it. Yes. We have 6 yes votes, 1 no. So the master and precise development plan, development agreement for 131 unit mixed use development within the downtown specific plan, DHG 190014 passes.